These scrumptious jam and oat bars can be made with pretty much any type of jam. For today's recipe, I'm making a cranberry cherry jam with my freeze-dried fruit. These bars have an oatmeal cookie base that's also used as a crumble topping, making them a perfectly tasty breakfast, snack, or treat. I think you're gonna love them. Well, hi there, everyone. My name is Kareth. I'm a wife, a mom, an author, and a cook. On this channel, I like to create recipes using freeze-dried food. Sometimes it's completely shelf-stable, like a meal or a mix in a jar. Other times, I combine freeze-dried with fresh, but all the time, it's delicious. I'm here to help people who have freeze-dried food on their shelves to know how to cook with it. I test out recipes so you don't have to. Welcome to the Freeze-Dried Foodie. The recipe here calls for a couple sticks of butter, and that's why I'm not making this into a meal in a jar. I'm just gonna make it straight in the bowl, and I'm gonna make the jam straight on the stove top. Here's a list of the ingredients you'll need to make the recipe, and I'll put the exact measurements down in the description box. First of all, you'll need to make the jam. So I'm making a cranberry cherry jam, and it's totally up to you, like whatever fruit you would like to do. I've got about a cup of cranberries, about a half a cup of cherries, and I'll add somewhere around 3 or 4 tablespoons of sugar, depending on the tartness of your fruit, and about a cup of water. And then I just gave this a stir, got some heat going. I just brought it to a simmer, and this is a very simple jam recipe, really. It's really similar to some of the other recipes I already have up on my channel. It's kind of how I make my syrups and my jams. Once it comes to a simmer, you can turn it down and just let it go for 5 minutes or so until the fruit is really getting tender and starting to break down. And then I just got out my potato masher and started smushing that fruit to make my jam. This is very similar to the way I made my blueberry jam for the blueberry pie bars. And I have like a triple berry syrup that I used for my Dutch babies. This needs to simmer for probably another 10 minutes or so until it's the right consistency. I referenced my recipe that I already have up on the channel for my peach hand pies. So the peach pie filling, I kind of use that same recipe for this cranberry cherry jam for these bars. So after that simmers for a while, you can set it to the side and let it cool. And then you can make your cookie base. These bars basically have an oatmeal cookie base, and it's so delicious. You'll start with a couple of cups of rolled oats, just regular old-fashioned oats here. Don't use the quick cook oats just because their texture's too soft for this recipe. And to that, you'll add some all-purpose flour. Of course, you could use gluten-free if that's what you're wanting to do. Just make sure your oats are gluten-free, and then it should be a gluten-free recipe. I actually ran out of my light brown sugar, so I supplemented with a dark. It doesn't matter, you could use either. And then you need some baking soda, and be sure to look at your measuring spoons. I had the wrong size spoon out, so I had to remove a little bit of baking soda there. But to that, you'll go ahead and add some cinnamon. And just like other oatmeal cookie recipes, the cinnamon is really good in here. In addition to that, I got out my brown butter seasoning. This is the one that I found to use in my chocolate chip cookie mix recipe. It's just so good. And I thought, yeah, why not use this? You might as well. I already have it. Anything that would be enhanced by a little brown butter, I think it would be good in. So then add some salt for contrast of flavor. And then you can just start mixing all that up. I went ahead and put a glove on my hand because I knew my brown sugar had quite a few lumps in it. I thought it might be a good decision to get my hands in there and kind of feel around and see if I could get rid of most of those lumps. Just give that a stir. And then it's time to add the melted butter. I just put that in the microwave, melted that butter. An entire cup of melted butter. Yes, please. I still had my glove on, so I'm mixing it with my hand. You definitely don't have to do that. You can just use a spoon. But you want to mix pretty thoroughly until you have everything really well combined. You just want to make sure there's no streaks of dry ingredients left. When you pick it up and smush it together, it kind of will hold together. That's the texture you're looking for right there. Now you do need to set aside some of this cookie dough. About 1.5 cups or so is what you'll want to set aside, and that's what you're going to use as the topping of these bars. The rest of it you can put down into the bottom of a cake pan. That's a 9x9 cake pan that I have right there. I've lined mine with parchment paper. Press that down into the cake pan. You'll need to bake that at 350 for about 10 minutes. And then you can add your jam. So this is what my jam looks like after it has cooled. It's thickened up quite a bit. And I went ahead and added a few tablespoons of just some, I think it was mixed berry jam that I had in my refrigerator. Just because I like a lot of jam in my Jam and Oat Bars, and I wanted to supplement it with some extra jam. You can use just a jar of jam or jelly. You don't have to make your own if you don't want to. But go ahead and get it onto the base there. Spread it into the corners. And then get your crumble topping on there. Just sprinkle it on the top. Don't press it down. You want it to just kind of be sitting on top of the jam. After you bake it, the jam will peek through. I just think it's so cute. So I baked mine for about 50 minutes on 350, and I let these cool in the pan for probably 2 hours. The reason you want to let it cool completely is because it's less likely to turn into a crumbly mess when you cut them if they're completely cooled. You can even put these in the refrigerator. And then, whenever they're cooled, they will be ready to cut into bars. Now, it's totally up to you what kind of shape you want to cut these into. I ended up with, I think, 4x3. But if you want to make them into more of bars, like longer and thinner, then you could cut it into maybe 5x2. My kids always liked it when I cut these into bars. But isn't that cute? You see the little jam oozing out in the corners? It gets nice and sticky as it bakes in the oven. And then when it cools, it's just such a nice layer of jam. All right, so here they are. I wanted to pick it up and show you what it looks like. And like I said, the longer you cool it, the better these will hold together when you slice them. But the topping, the crumble topping, is so yummy. And then the base is a little more compact. You can see the nice color there on the bottom. So yeah, here are my Jam and Oat Bars. And like I said, whatever flavor jam you want in there will work. It's all good. It's totally up to you. I think these work well as a breakfast bar. I think they work great as a snack. That's usually how I eat them. Or even like an after dinner treat, just a little something sweet. They travel well. Just overall a great recipe. I didn't really want to cut into these. I just wanted to bite into them because that's how we eat them. It was so tasty. I like the tartness from the cranberries in contrast with the sweetness from the oatmeal cookie. It's a great combination. I hope y'all try this recipe and I hope you really like it. Okay, guys, thank y'all so much for watching. And if you don't mind, hit the like button. That always helps my channel. And leave me a comment and let me know what flavor you like in your Jam and Oat Bars. I would so appreciate that. I love to hear from y'all. Now, if you like my recipes and you enjoy meals in jars, I have written a couple of cookbooks. Here is my very first cookbook. I have it in print that's available on Amazon, and the digital format is available on my website, and I will link to both of those below. I always appreciate your support when you purchase my cookbooks. All right, I've got a verse of the day for us. It comes from Psalm 121, verses 1 and 2, and it reads, I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Such a beautiful scripture verse. I hope that encourages your heart today. All right, guys, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, a blessed week, and until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.